Today, the life you'll experience is the life of a medieval count. You are currently just a page. You are 7 years old. Your father sent you to a castle that wasn't yours, and you wouldn't see your family for years. This was an honor. Your father used all his connections and owed many favors just to get you into a great lord's household. Most boys would never have this chance. A peasant's child stays in the same village their whole life, never traveling more than 20 miles from birth. You are different. You are being groomed for greatness. You received your uniform and a bed in the servants' quarters. Your job was to serve. You poured wine at banquets and carried messages throughout the castle. When the lords discussed war, alliances, and betrayals, you stood quietly by the wall. You were invisible, but you were learning. You watched the knights in the courtyard, how they moved, how they spoke, and how they commanded respect without raising their voices. The lady of the castle taught you etiquette, music, and how to behave properly in noble circles. She corrected your posture, your speech, and your table manners. You learned to dance. You learned to play chess because chess taught you strategy, patience, and the willingness to sacrifice pieces for victory. The castle priest taught you Latin and scripture. You learned to read and write, skills that most peasants would never possess. But you weren't here to be a scholar. You were here to become a weapon. In your free time, you practiced with wooden swords. You wrestled with other pages. You rode horses until your thighs were raw and bleeding. The weapons master observed from the sidelines and reports back to the lord. He's already judging which boys have potential and which will be quietly sent home in shame. Some squires can't handle the discipline. They cry for their mothers. They fail their lessons. They're sent home with polite excuses. Their future as a knight ends before it even begins. You won't be one of them. You absorb everything because you've seen what a knight ultimately becomes. You crave that power more than anything. You become a squire. You're 14, your voice is deepening. Your body is growing. You're assigned to a knight. Not just any knight. Sir Roland, a veteran of 3 campaigns, a scar running from his temple to his jaw. You are now his shadow. You rise before dawn to prepare his armor. You polish every piece until you can see yourself in the steel. You oil the leather straps. You check for rust, dents, any hidden dangers that could cost him his life. You feed and groom his war horses. You learn their temperaments. Destroyer, the war horse, is fierce and aggressive. He'll bite you if you approach him wrong. He's trained to kick and trample enemies on the battlefield. You have an almost fearful respect for him. You carry his weapons and banners. You sleep outside his chamber door like a watchdog. When he goes to war, you follow behind him. You carry a spare lance. If his horse falls in battle, you bring him a new one. You are not allowed to fight. Your mission is to observe, learn, and survive. You witness your first battle from the edge of the chaos. Men scream. Horses struggle. Blood turns the mud into a red paste. The smell is something no one warned you about. Rust, feces, and fear. Your knight charges into the fray. You can't see him. You stand there trembling, clutching the spare lance, praying he survives. Because if he dies, you lose your purpose. You'll be sent home in shame. The squire who lost his knight. Hours later, he emerges, armor dented, covered in blood, but alive. That night, he teaches you things no book could. How to read the terrain. How to sense when a line is about to break. How to kill quickly without hesitation. Hesitation means death. Mercy means death. You train harder than ever now, with real weapons. When your guard drops, the knight strikes you with the flat of his sword. He says pain is the only teacher who never lies. You believe him. The scars on his body prove his experience. You learn to fight in armor, moving with 60 pounds of steel, as if it weighs nothing. You learn to fight on horseback and on foot. You learn to fight when you're exhausted, when you're wounded, when your eyes are caked with blood. 7 years pass like this. 7 years of brutality, discipline, and transformation. You become a knight-errant. You are 21 years old, your training complete. The night before your knighting, you keep a vigil in the castle chapel. You kneel on cold stone for 12 hours, contemplating the vows you are about to make. To protect the weak, to speak the truth, to serve God and King. The words are beautiful. The reality will be far bloodier. At dawn, the Lord summons you to the court. The castle is packed with witnesses. Your parents traveled for days to see this moment. You kneel as he lightly taps your shoulders with his sword. Rise, sir. Those words change everything. You now belong to the warrior elite. You have the right to legally carry weapons, the right to own a war horse, the right to wear golden spurs. But beyond that, you have nothing. You are an independent knight, invincible yet poor. You have no castle, no income, no retinue. Your armor is a gift from your father. Your horse eats better than you do. You live by selling your sword. You enter tournaments, fighting for prize money. Tournaments are where reputations are forged. You participate in melees, dozens of knights battling chaotically until one side surrenders. You compete in jousts, charging at full speed with a lance toward your opponent. People die in these games, trampled, pierced, or bludgeoned to death, but winning a single bout can earn you a year's salary in an afternoon. More importantly, it gets you noticed. You perform for the lords who might hire you. You learn to balance honor and survival. Sometimes you intentionally let a minor lord's son win, because his father might offer you a position. Politics dominate everything, even combat. You are hired by lords who need extra manpower. You are a freelance mercenary, wandering between conflicts, building your reputation with every victory. This is the most dangerous period of your career. You have the training, but no resources. One serious injury and you can't afford a surgeon. One dead horse, and you're finished. Many independent knights die anonymously, poor and forgotten. You refuse to be one of them. You become a hearth knight. Finally, a lord notices you. Perhaps you saved his life on the battlefield. Perhaps you won a tournament he hosted. Perhaps you impressed him with your loyalty. When others fled a difficult battle, he offers you a place in his household. You accept immediately. Now you have a stable life, a bed in the castle, regular meals, and a small stipend. In exchange, you are his man. He summons you, you answer. He campaigns, you ride with him. You train his other soldiers. You protect his family. You stand behind him during negotiations. If negotiations break down, you are the silent promise of violence. You now belong to a brotherhood. The Hearth Knights. You eat together, train together, and drink together. You know these men would die for you, because you would die for them. This bond is stronger than blood. Your lord entrusts you with sensitive tasks, delivering unwritten messages to hostile lords, escorting his daughter through hostile lands to her wedding, and investigating rumors of betrayal in court. You are no longer just a soldier. You are becoming a political operator, a problem solver, someone who gets things done without needing to be told twice. You learn to read the currents of power. Who is rising, who is falling, who can be trusted, and who is about to betray. This knowledge is more useful than any swordsmanship. Wars are often won or lost in council halls, as often as on the battlefield. You become a knight banneret. You distinguish yourself on the battlefield, not just a warrior, but a leader. The king witnessed you charging through the enemy's flank. Your banner was the first to reach the enemy's baggage train. After the battle, he rode up to you, cut the swallowtail from your pennon, turning it into a square banner. You are now a banner knight. You have the right to raise your own banner and lead your men. Other knights follow you, and squires are eager to serve you. You recruit a small company of soldiers, 20 or 30 warriors, to fight under your banner. You negotiate your own contracts with lords and kings. Your company is known for its discipline, ferocity, and victories. Your income significantly increases. You can afford better armor, better horses, and better weapons. You hire a small staff, heralds to announce your name at tournaments, and issue challenges to your enemies, scribes to handle documents and manage your finances, surgeons to tend to your men's wounds after battles, and chaplains to pray for your souls and administer last rites to the fallen. You now run a military enterprise. Every campaign is a calculation of profit and loss. How much will the king pay? What are the chances of survival? How much loot can be plundered if you win? Leadership is lonely. Every decision affects lives. If you judge incorrectly, your men will die. Their widows will curse your name. If you judge correctly, the glory is yours. They only get shallow graves. You drink more than you should. You pray more than before. The weight of command is heavier than any armor. You become a Castellan. The king needs someone he can trust. The borders are restless. Enemy lords constantly plunder, harassing the border. He appoints you to command a castle. Not ownership, but command. You are the castle governor, the military governor of this fortress and its surrounding lands. The castle becomes your world. You train the garrison until they can scale the walls in their sleep. You check supplies, counting grain and barrels of salt pork. You maintain siege engines, the catapults and ballistas defending the walls. You meet with local lords and merchants, resolving disputes and collecting taxes in the king's name. You are simultaneously judge, general, and administrator. When raiders cross the border, you lead your troops to meet them. Sometimes you quickly rout them. Other times, you hunt them for days through forests and hills. You learn siege warfare from a defender's perspective. How to hold walls against overwhelming odds. How to ration supplies during a siege, making a month of food last 3. How to negotiate with the enemy while surrounded, for possible, never-arriving reinforcements. You are trapped in your own castle for months. Enemy forces camp outside the walls. Your people eat rats and boiled leather. They drink rainwater collected from the walls. Soldiers die of disease. Morale collapses. People privately discuss surrender. You hold them together with sheer willpower. The enemy eventually retreats, exhausted. You win by endurance, not by battle. The king rewards your loyalty with more responsibility. You become indispensable. You become a baron. The king promotes you. You kneel before him in the great hall. The entire court surrounds you. He grants you land. Real land. Estates that generate income. Villages teeming with peasants. They toil for you. Pay taxes. A castle truly your own, not just managed. You are now a noble baron. Your children will inherit your title. Your bloodline elevated from obscurity to the kingdoms. Permanent nobility. Your father, himself a mere petty knight, wept with joy upon hearing the news. All the sacrifices he made sending you to serve as a squire were vindicated. But nobility comes with obligations. You must serve the king 40 days of military service each year. You must maintain a certain number of knights, ready for battle at any moment. When the king summons, you must attend court. This means leaving your lands for months. While flatterers whisper and scheme, you learn to play this game. Marriage is politics. Your daughter marries the Baron of Limburg's son, solidifying an alliance against a common enemy. Your son marries the daughter of a wealthy merchant, because you need her dowry to repair your castle walls and fund your next campaign. Love holds no sway. Legacy is everything. You preside over trials for your peasants. You rule on disputes over land, livestock, and inheritance disputes. You punish criminals. Thieves lose at hand. Murderers face the stocks. Within your domain, your word is law. This power is intoxicating, but also dangerous. Other barons envy your ascent. They seek your weaknesses, mistakes, any opportunity to bring you down. You become an earl. War is in your favor. The king needs soldiers to quell a northern rebellion. You respond with 200 knights and 1,000 warriors. This is the largest force among all the barons. Your tactical genius turns the tide at the Battle of the Marshes. You see weaknesses in the enemy lines that others miss. You personally led the charge, your banner flying high, breaking through enemy lines. The rebel leader fell by your sword. The king promoted you again, making you an earl, one of the realm's great lords. You ruled over territories larger than some kingdoms. Dozens of barons swore fealty to you. Your income exceeded what most people could earn in 1,000 lifetimes. You raised an army comparable to the king's own. You joined the royal council, advising on matters of war, peace, and taxation. The king listened to you, sometimes taking your advice, sometimes not. Other earls eyed you with suspicion. You were now a threat to them. Your rise had diminished their influence. They whispered in the king's ear, sowing seeds of doubt. Is the earl becoming too powerful? Does he harbor ambitions for the throne? Could he be plotting rebellion? You had to navigate these intrigues while maintaining the king's favor. You cultivated allies among others, finding common interests and common enemies. You neutralized threats before they could mature. Sometimes neutralization meant marriage alliances, binding families together. Sometimes it meant bribes, buying silence or support, and sometimes it meant assassination, a well-timed accident, or a sudden illness. The chronicles would record your public deeds, your victories and honors. The truth of the inner chambers would die with you. You became the kingdom's champion. The king had no finer warrior than you. Every major battle during his reign saw your involvement. You commanded his armies, defended his borders, and crushed his rebellions. When the kingdom faced invasion, it was you who drove the enemy back to the sea. When the king's own brother rebelled, it was you who captured him and brought him to justice. The king knighted you as the kingdom's champion. This title was more than just an honor. When a foreign prince challenged the king's honor, you face him in battle. When justice demands a trial by combat, you represent the crown. You are the embodiment of the king's authority. The king's right arm made manifest. Your armor is legendary, forged by the kingdom's finest smiths, worth more than a small castle. Your sword has a name. Bards in taverns throughout the kingdom sing of it. Children pretend to be you when they play knights. Young squires dream of serving you. Painters create portraits of your battles, to be hung in halls for centuries. But now you are old. Your scars ache in winter. The arm that wields your sword responds slower than it once did. Softened by years and old wounds, you have survived wounds that killed others. But each survival leaves its mark. Young knights look at you, just as you once looked at the old champions in your youth, hungry, patiently waiting for their chance, which will surely come one day. A challenger you cannot defeat. One day you will fall. But not today. Today you parade through the streets. The crowds chant your name. Today you are immortal. Tomorrow is a problem for tomorrow. You have fought your whole life for this moment. The boy who once poured wine for lords is now the kingdom's greatest knight. They will carve your deeds in stone. They will tell your story for centuries. You began with only your father's ambition and your own resolve. You end as a legend. That is more than most achieve. It is more than you ever dreamed. The little boy who once slept in the slums now sleeps in a room fit for a prince. This journey, every scar was worth it.